Editorial is something that has bothered us since this afternoon, where we have come across information that has gone to the National Media Commission. It has to do with the commencement of action by the learned Attorney General, Mrs. Marietta Buruapon, against a journalist at Multimedia, Mr. Kojo Yankson, and Multimedia itself. The story begins when, at the President's official press conference on the 12th of January, John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency the President, addressed several issues at that press conference, and we on this program has had occasion to deal with that matter already. But we will be talking about it today. Again, so that's Marietta Buruapon in your photograph there. She's commenced an action that we are talking about right now. And we're going to express concern about the Attorney General's issues that are going, that she has put before the National Media Commission. So the story goes as follows, that after the press conference, this journalist called Kojo Yankson, who is host of Joy FM's morning show, approached the Attorney General. And this is Kojo Yankson's story. He approached the Attorney General and then asked her that under what law, he says he asked her 2 questions, but now it appears that Attorney General says is 1 question. The question being that under what kind of law are the 2 detainees being brought into Ghana? According to Kojo Yankson, she said to him that that question is better put to the foreign minister, and added that she was not involved in the matter. Now, that will surprise everyone. That's Kojo Yankson on screen, by the way. We'll come to the question that he put later on. So Kojo Yankson then was surprised, as everyone would be. But then this is where the crux of the matter occurs. The next morning, on the morning show on radio, Mr. Yankson exercises his discretion to put out this conversation between himself and the Attorney General. And he tells the public, the listening public, whilst the Minister for Communication is being interviewed about the press conference, and the Minister for Communication is on the phone, Mr. Yankson, the panel in the studio, he says that, well, yesterday, after the press conference, and this would have been the press conference of the 12th of June, I asked the Attorney General, he says, that under what law were these Guantanamo detainees brought to Ghana? And the Attorney General said to me, and I'm paraphrasing Kojo Yankson, that the question is better put to the Foreign Minister, and that she, the Attorney General, was not involved in the matter. So he puts this out publicly, and the program continues. The Minister for Communication, Dr. Mane Boama, immediately gets a reaction from the Attorney General, and then also transfers the reaction via public radio to Mr. Yankson, and says that I have just received communication from the Attorney General, and she's denying, and she says she never had any such conversation with you. So that then becomes a back and forth on radio. Quite interesting. The journalist says, Attorney General said it. Attorney General says, I didn't say that. Okay, so later that afternoon, the drama continues. The Attorney General writes to Multimedia to secure a tape and transcript of what occurred in the morning. Normally, lawyers will do that because they want to ascertain the fact of what had actually occurred. So yes, she gets a tape, as we will assume, from Multimedia. And today she commenced an action at the National Media Commission against Mr. Yankson and Multimedia. And here are some of the transcripts of the documents that she presented to the National Media Commission. She says, for instance, as follows. And the report says, stating the events leading to her complaint, Mrs. Appiah-Oppong said on January 12, 2016 this year, after the President John Dramani Mahama's press conference, which was addressed by a number of issues of national concern, and this is her quote from her, a gentleman walked up to me and asked me about the specific law under which the government was keeping the 2 detainees of the U.S. government from the naval station at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. Statement goes on to say, according to the AG, her response was that he, referring to the gentleman, and quote, should speak to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration on the matter. So that's where we are. So the Attorney General is confirming that the question was put to her, and that she said that the journalist should seek clarification from the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And that's where our concern is, because this is the Attorney General who has a role to play in government. And let's go to Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution to understand the role of the Attorney General. And 88 will read as follows. Article 88 of the Constitution. It says, and you'll see it on the screen in a minute, that there shall be an Attorney General of Ghana who shall be a Minister of State and the principal legal advisor to the government. And that's why I put that part in red. There shall be an Attorney General of Ghana who shall be a Minister of State and the principal legal advisor to government. Note that when the Constitution uses the word shall, it means the clause is mandatory. It's not discretionary, it's mandatory. So it says, there shall be an Attorney General of Ghana who shall be a minister of state and the principal legal advisor to government. And it goes on to about the Attorney General, the kind of duties she can discharge. So our concern is this. You are Attorney General, you are the principal legal advisor to government. Now, if a question of a legal nature is asked, as under what law were the Guantanamo detainees brought, and you pass the question on to another minister, the foreign minister, who ought not to be a lawyer. It just happens that this particular foreign minister is a lawyer, but that foreign ministers ought not to be lawyers. Any other professional background can be foreign minister, but not any other professional background can be Attorney General. Indeed, apart from the president being restricted to 19 cabinet ministers, the only ministerial job that the president must necessarily have under the Constitution, have someone else doing, is the job of the Attorney General. What I mean is the president can be his own finance minister, he can be his own minister of interior, he can be his own minister of communication, he can be his own minister of anything, except that he's limited by having 19 ministers so designated as cabinet ministers, a minimum and a maximum. But in the case of the Attorney General, the president can never be his own Attorney General. That will be violating the Constitution. So that creates this kind of importance that the role of the Attorney General obtains in our situation. So Article 88 says there shall be an Attorney General. So our concern here is this. If you are Attorney General and somebody walks up to you, whether public, private, anything, and ask a question about law, and you say that go and ask the foreign minister, it can be reasonably inferred that you were not involved in the process, or that the foreign minister has more information than you do on a matter of law, which is awkward. In a matter of law relating to the government, the Attorney General ought not to have less information than any other minister because she's the principal legal advisor to government. So the inference that Attorney General was either not involved or that some other person had more information is quite clear from the Attorney General's own submissions and the things that she put out to the National Media Commission. She says the gentleman approached and asked a question of law. And she said that she should ask the foreign minister. And so if the gentleman goes on radio and infers that, well, the Attorney General was not involved, I think the inference is, and we think the inference is particularly reasonable. Anyway, let's go on to see what else occurred in the Attorney General's statement. He said further that the person neither introduced himself, and referring to Mr. Yankson here, the person neither introduced himself, nor did he indicate that he was an employee of the multimedia group or states that he was conducting an interview. But subsequent events pointed to the fact that the gentleman in question was Mr. Yankson, the host of the Super Morning Show. That is of no consequence, Honorable Attorney General, whether the person introduced himself or the person did not introduce himself. This was an official event where His Excellency the President had a press conference, and there were two types of people at the press conference, and we discussed that in our post-mortem interview here on Good Evening Ghana. There were ministers of state and political appointees at the press conference, and there were journalists at the press conference. Only two types of people. The journalists were seated together, and the political appointees were seated together, away and separate from each other. The president addressed the journalist, and the politicians were seated onto his right, probably to provide moral support. We already discussed that whether or not in the future the Ministry of Communication must continue to have other people there, but that's entirely a matter for another occasion. So, within this forum, the person who is there, people who are there, are either politicians, whom the Attorney General may know, or journalists, whom she may not know. So if somebody approaches you and asks a question, I think the Attorney General ought to be aware that this is a formal process and the answer that is given will be carried on, and the answer that will be given will be interpreted. The answer that will be given will be digested. The answer that will be given will be interrogated. So if you tell the person asking you the question, whoever she is, and there are only two types of people there, journalists, politicians. So if you tell the journalist or you tell a fellow politician that on the matter of law, go and ask the foreign minister, it will be reasonably inferred that you were not involved in the matters of the Guantanamo Bay detainees coming into Ghana. Now, let's get back onto who she was talking to. And I don't know why she makes this comment in the document that she sends to the National Media Commission that the person did not introduce himself. I'm not sure whether she's suggesting that if the person had introduced himself, her answers would have been different. And I hope not. But anyway, Kojo Yankson, the gentleman in question, was at the press conference. And he did ask a question. The format of the press conference was that you mention your name and then you ask a question. So either the Attorney General was not paying attention at the press conference and therefore did not recognize this young man who was asking a question and said he was from multimedia, that it was the same gentleman who was speaking to him or her, speaking to her probably an hour later and asking questions about law, then it means he wasn't paying attention or she probably was not interested. Now, have a look at this. This is Kojo Yankson asking his question at the press conference.
Your Excellency, Official Abba. My name is Kojo Yankson. I'm the host of the Super Morning Show on Joy. Let me just take the opportunity to commend you on this rather fresh and brave method of communicating with the media. Your Excellency, Afishaba. My name is Kojo Yankson. I'm the host of the Super Morning Show on Joy. Let me just take the opportunity to commend you on this rather fresh and brave method of communicating with the media. Your Excellency, Afishaba. My name is Kojo Yankson. I'm the host of the Super Morning Show on Joy. Let me just take the opportunity to commend you on this rather fresh and brave method of communicating with the media.
And so if you look at what we just looked at, you look at the statement that Attorney General sent to the National Media Commission, and we can put that up again, the last slide. She said, the person neither introduced himself, nor did he indicate that he was an employee of the multimedia group, or states that he was conducting an interview, but subsequent events pointed to the fact that the gentleman in question was Mr. Yankson, the host of the Super Morning Show. I'm not sure whether the Attorney General is trying to suggest that she had either been ambushed or something like that, because she cannot be. This is the same room where the press conference occurred, and this guy had gone to the president. That's a statement on your screen again. It says, she said the person neither introduced himself, and these are her own words to the National Media Commission, nor did he indicate that he was an employee of the multimedia group, or states that he was conducting an interview, but subsequent events pointed to the fact that the gentleman in question was Mr. Yankson, the host of the Super Morning Show. And we are saying that this is neither here nor there. This is actually of no consequence. And no consequence at all to the matter. The Attorney General has more questions to answer to the National Media Commission, we posit, than the Kojo Yankson of Joy FM. The Attorney General certainly has more questions to answer, because the Attorney General is telling us on a question of law that under what law, and the question is clear, and it is in her own statement to the Media Commission. She says the guy said the specific law under which government of Ghana was keeping the 2 Guantanamo detainees from the naval station in Guantanamo Bay. And the Attorney General's response is that go and ask the foreign minister, forgetting that Article 88 has imposed a duty on her and giving her a responsibility and indeed a privilege to be the principal legal advisor to the government. And a question of law is asked and you say that another minister should deal with it. So you were not involved. Learned Attorney General, you were not involved. You couldn't have been involved. The foreign minister has more information than you do on a matter of law concerning an action of the government, when the Constitution says you are the principal legal advisor to the government, and you commence an action at the National Media Commission and claim that you have been embarrassed, and so the National Media Commission should take action against the journalist. How can that be? Anyway, let's sympathize with Attorney General. Let's sympathize with her. Let's hear what she says and what she's actually worried about. You know, let's sympathize with her. So let's hear what she says, what she's worried about. And it says, and quote, the statement broadcasted by Kojo Yankson and Multimedia Group Limited has caused me considerable embarrassment. Let's hear that again. This is the Attorney General's concern, and let's sympathize with the learned Attorney General. She says, the statement broadcasted by Kojo Yankson and the Multimedia Group Limited has caused me considerable embarrassment. But that's a shocker. Why should the Attorney General be embarrassed by something like this? Article 88, and let's just see Article 88 again. Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution says, there shall be an Attorney General of Ghana who shall be a Minister of State. And it's there. There shall be an Attorney General of Ghana who shall be a Minister of State, and the principal legal advisor to the government. So if a journalist has a legal question, who else must the journalist go to? It has to be the learned Attorney General, the principal legal advisor to the government. And if a journalist comes to you with a question like that, and you say that, I don't know, ask the foreign minister, and you have admitted to that in your statements to the National Media Commission, that this is what you said, that the foreign minister should be asked about a legal question when the Constitution has imposed a duty on you, and the journalist makes a reasonable inference that it will mean, therefore, that the Attorney General was not involved, and you say it's caused you embarrassment, so you commence an action at the National Media Commission This is pure intimidation of journalists, total intimidation of journalists, where this is so clear. It is clear and plain intimidation in an election year of journalists, and we should all be worried about that. And we expect that the National Media Commission will look at it through the spectacles of public opinion and through the spectacles of the ethos of Article 88. The National Media Commission will look at it through the foundational structures established by the framers of the Constitution in Article 88, imposing a privilege, an honor, a duty, and a responsibility on the office holder of the Office of the Attorney General to be the principal legal advisor to the government of Ghana. And if the government of Ghana has entered into any transaction of whatever kind, and somebody comes and says to you after the president's press conference and say that, under what law were these men brought into Ghana? And you say that you don't know. Ask the foreign minister. The person goes on radio to infer that the Attorney General was not involved. Because if you're involved, you will know. Yeah. And you ought to know. Because you are the principal legal advisor to government. Is the foreign minister the principal legal advisor to government? The foreign minister is the foreign minister. And that is why when the news broke about the Guantanamo detainees, it was the foreign minister who first put out the information that yes, indeed, Ghana has received 2 people from the Guantanamo Bay, etc., etc. It was the foreign minister who put that information out. That is her responsibility. She's the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And this is a foreign matter. So it ought not to be the Interior Minister. So even if the Interior Minister, as Mark Wayongo said before he left the Interior Ministry, that I don't know much about it, fair enough. But the Attorney General, a specific question of law. The question was not, when did the Guantanamo detainees come in? That's a question for the Foreign Minister. Why did you bring the Guantanamo detainees in? That's a question for the Foreign Minister. Why did you bring only 2 Guantanamo detainees and not 3? That's a question for the Foreign Minister. Under what law were the Guantanamo detainees brought into Ghana? That's a question for you, learned Attorney General. Only you. Not you and somebody. Just you. That's the question for you. You are the principal legal advisor to the government. It is you, not me, not anyone. You, learned Attorney General, it is you. So when you say you don't know, and a journalist goes on radio and infers that, yes, the Attorney General was not involved, you commence an action at the National Media Commission and say that you have been embarrassed, and you are intimidating the journalist. You have been embarrassed about what? You said that you don't know, and you have shared your responsibility under Article 88, because you are the principal legal advisor to the government. That's what you are. And so you don't intimidate a journalist assuming that he doesn't know Article 88 and goes on and says, if the journalist has said on radio that morning that, excuse me, Honorable Minister for Communication, the Attorney General is shedding her responsibility under 88 because she told me she didn't know. We don't know what happened, but once you put out a statement corroborating, in effect, what the journalist said in respect of this particular question, the journalist says he asked you 2 questions, but fair enough. You are corroborating one particular question, being that the journalist actually did approach you and asked about a question of law. And you say that you don't know, Attorney General of the Republic of Ghana, paid by the taxpayers' money, and the journalist goes and says you were not involved, and you commence an action at the National Media Commission. I will wish that the National Media Commission would throw this action out and find the Attorney General, because you have not been embarrassed. Indeed, you have embarrassed all of us, the people of Ghana, that on a matter of law, you are referring to the Foreign Minister. You are pointing to the Foreign Minister. This Foreign Minister only happens to be a lawyer. But it may well be that the Foreign Minister is not a lawyer. The question is a question of law. Under what law? Under what regime? That's your work. You are the principal legal advisor to the government. This is a very bad example that the Attorney General will set for other ministers to copy. Commencing an action at the National Media Commission because you say that you have been embarrassed that the journalist said that you said you were not involved. And in your own statement, you are saying that the journalist asked you a question of law. And you said he should ask the Foreign Minister. And the journalist cannot infer from that you are not aware. That's not what Attorney Generals do. And we have had great Attorney Generals in this country. And the learned Attorney General Marietta is otherwise a very nice person and a great lawyer too. We know what you have done with the case in the International Law of the Sea in maintaining for Ghana some of the things that we have in oil. So you are great. I'm not saying you're not great, Attorney General. You are great. But on this matter, you are wrong. You are very, very wrong. But you are great, and we are proud of you. We are proud that in Ghana we have had a female Attorney General under Betty Mould Idrisu. We've had another female Attorney General under Marietta. You are great. And we like that. But on this matter, the matter of principle, you are definitely wrong. Very, very wrong. And you are intimidating the journalist by commencing and asking the National Media Commission, I believe with a veneer of threats that following the National Media Commission, perhaps you will go to court. This is very, very bad. Attorney General, you are wrong. You need to be apologizing. And I am concerned about this because I've been doing this work for a very, very long time. And we have been in this job and fought criminal libel and it's gone. We have fought the Electoral Commission on declaring polling station results and it's gone. We have fought civil libel in many matters and it's gone. And we were there as children when the leaders like Kweku Baku and Pratt and Co. Put their lives at the forefront of freedom of expression. And we have seen presidents begin to do press conferences in Ghana. Never was it the case in the past that presidents would do a press conference. Mr. Kufuor came in and held a press conference once and didn't do it again. Professor Mills came and held a press conference once and didn't do it again. Mr. Mahama has come and he's continuously doing the press conference. So we commend him for that. So it is in defense of freedom of expression that I am doing this and that our editorial team has put this research together. In defense of freedom of expression by journalists, particularly in an election year, to kick out the intimidation of politicians. And then the Attorney General is unfortunate that we find that you as Attorney General, the state lawyer, to whom we should be running for protection, is going on this line, going to National Media Commission to seek some kind of apology and retraction. Retraction of what? You said that you pointed the journalist to the foreign minister on a matter of law. You are the Attorney General. You are the principal legal advisor to government, not because you have chosen it, not because the president has chosen it, but the framers of the Constitution imposed it on you. And the Constitution was voted for in a referendum by the people of Ghana in 1992. And we agreed that Article 88 ought to be there. And we sanctioned and endorsed Article 88. And that Article 88 imposes that regulation and the duty on you that on a matter of law relating to an action by the government, you are the primus inter pares. You have to tell us what the law is. If you say you don't know, then you were not involved. Indeed, you were not involved. You couldn't have been involved. And the foreign minister has more information than you on a matter of law. That ought not to be. That may be shedding of responsibility. We will be eager to see how the National Media Commission will treat this matter, but we are going to campaign that the National Media Commission should throw this matter out and indeed find the Attorney General, because this is no matter at all. This is just an expression of intimidation. You, the principal legal advisor to government, the journalist comes to you and says, under what law were the Guantanamo disease? I don't know. Go and ask foreign minister. The journalist goes on radio. The Attorney General was not involved in the matter. Attorney General says, I've been embarrassed. I'm going to National Media Commission. But embarrassed about what? Embarrassed that you were not involved? That's not our doing. If you were not involved, that's not our doing. It's the government that decided to exclude you. And you should be writing to them and informing them that having excluded me from this matter is dangerous, because Article 88 makes me the principal legal advisor. So the government shouldn't have taken any legal action without telling me. You should be writing to the government and telling them that. You shouldn't be telling journalists that they've embarrassed you. You should be worried about the procedures that are being expressed by the government. So please, this is our editorial for today. You know, we come up with editorials every now and then when we are worried about something. And today we are particularly worried about this. And I just have to state in conclusion that there's nothing against Marietta. You know, she's a nice person, great lawyer, has practiced for a long time, seems to be patriotic. You know, I've seen her in public a few times. Very, very nice person. But on this matter, Madam Marietta, you are definitely wrong. After the break, we'll be back and look at the United States election. So it's free. You can go on our Facebook page and you can say whatever you want. You can disagree with us. You can agree with us. goodeveningghana@gmail.com. You can tell us what you want. You can tell us what you like. So the Facebook page is now on. It's Good Evening Ghana Official. You can look at it now. Let's see it, roll it over. Let's have a look at it. So if you go, this is what you will find as you're seeing on the screen is Good Evening Ghana Official. You find some of our old programs there. If you put up a statement there right now, live, we will relay it to the viewers. And we would like you to tell us what you think about this matter that we are talking about. We think the National Media Commission should throw out Marietta Brew upon the Attorney General and find her for purported intimidation of a journalist, because the journalist was spot on, was right, the inference was clear, and everyone will understand that if a principal legal advisor to government is shedding a legal responsibility by pointing to another minister, she ought not to be worried when it is said that she was not involved in the matter. Facebook page, goodeveningghana@gmail.com. We'll put our WhatsApp address there and you can reach us. You can tell us anything you want. It's a no-holds-barred discussion. If you think that we are very, very wrong, you can tell us. We think she's very, very wrong. Maybe you think we are very, very wrong. We're happy to have the discussion in the interest of Mother Ghana.